Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing this morning? It's time for another in Jim Brentar's music series, songs that I've written over the years that have never really seen the light of day. And I wrote a whole bunch of songs back when I was into songwriting. Today's song began during one of those times when I was hospitalized for depression. Yes, I've been hospitalized for depression at least 4 times. Not much fun. They gave me a notebook that I could write in if I felt like writing. And not a spiral notebook, mind you. It's one with just a glued binding, spiral-bound notebook. The spiral could be removed and used to cause harm to yourself or others, so just a glue-bound notebook. And I wrote in this little notebook the following stanza. It really ought be stupid. It really ought be dumb. It really ought be said, my brain is getting numb. I didn't know what I meant by it at the time. I was just writing for something to do, and it got me thinking about words like ought and should. I'm a freedom of speech kind of guy. But if I could, there's 2 words that I would consider completely banning from use anywhere, at any time, by anyone. Ought and should. Now there's lots of other really bad words that we can use to inflict harm upon others. The words ought and should we often use to inflict harm upon ourselves. So I wrote this song. It's called Ought Bees, Killer Bees. And it almost, but not quite, made it onto the Rockin'D project, which never was officially released anyway, but it was one of those I wrote that was a little bit edgier. I started knowing I was writing some songs that were sort of rockin', sort of like indie rock or alt rock, and this certainly fits the bill in that regard. However, the song, apart from, working with this clever idea about how we can inflict harm upon ourselves with our own words and thoughts, the melody is like 3 notes for the most part, the entire song, and some of the words, I was kind of stretching for ideas by the time I finished writing the song, but still, it deserves to see the light of day. So here we go with Ought Bees, Killer Bees. It really ought be easy. It really ought be good. It really ought be working like it really should. It really ought be easy. It really ought be quick. It really seems so simple. It ought to do the trick. When ought bees turn to killer bees, everybody dies. We can't be happy all the time, but everybody tries. Oughts and shoulds and a whole lot of gotters will attack you from behind. Yeah, when ought bees turn to killer bees, happiness goes bye, bye, bye. I ought to be more successful. I ought to have more dough. I ought to have more friends everywhere I go. look more accomplished. I ought to be having fun. When bees turn to killer bees, everybody dies. We can't be happy all the time, but everybody tries. Oughts and shoulds and a whole lot of guys will attack you from behind. Yeah, when bees turn to killer bees, happiness goes bye, bye, bye. Ought be, don't be, can't be, won't be, filling up your brain. Ought be, should be, must be, gotta be, making you insane. Oughts and shoulds will kill you if they could. They can do more damage than you think they would. I ought to be more productive. I ought to go out and play. I really ought to be happy. I ought to be every day. I get the feeling that I ought to be somewhere else right now. I ought to stop this craziness, but I don't know how. When bees turn to killer bees, everybody dies. We can't be happy all the time, but everybody tries. Oughts and shoulds and a whole lot of guys will attack you from behind. Yeah, when bees turn to killer bees, happiness goes bye, bye, bye.
Ought Bees, Killer Bees. That's the name of the song. And in case you didn't notice, that original first stanza that I wrote when I was in the hospital for depression never actually made it into the song. Because that's what happens when you write songs. Sometimes you write, twice as much words down that you actually need, and then you pick out the best. Supposedly, the song Hallelujah had something like 100 different verses before the best ones got selected. Supposedly. That's maybe unverified or untrue, but that's the way songwriting works. Sometimes you write 12 verses and you don't use some of them, and that's okay. Anyway, I think I've said all there is to say about this song. I don't necessarily think of it as a good song, but definitely deserves to see the light of day. And now it has. Have a good one, everybody.